So after you've traced your heart out and then you've taken your magenta color pastel and colored in everything and smoothed it out with the tissue paper, then you want to draw your figures on there, life size. You want to set a circle at the bottom, and that determines the width of all the chocolates that are going to line up against the edge of the heart. Now I'm drawing the heart-shaped chocolate kind of in the middle, and then everything else is drawn against the edges of the box. All right, so we're going to do all of that in blue. It mixes beautifully with the brown. Then you're going to take your oil pastels, make sure they're clean on the sides, and indicate what colors that you want each of those little chocolates to be. Notice that I am just kind of covering everything with a good solid coat of the oil pastel. This color we use for what we would call milk chocolate. It's really more of a red brown, but it looks good that way. All right, so make sure you're also covering the lines that are blue. Cover those really, really well. I'm now using the cooler brown, which looks like the darker chocolate. So I've outlined it really well on the blue lines, and then I'm going to fill in the middle section. All of those are going to be done, and I'm going to save red for last, for that beautiful red in the middle. All right, so now we're going to take our finger and we are just going to outline the edge so it kind of mixes in the blue oil pastel with the brown, and then kind of fill in the middle. On the round ones, let your finger and the heat off your finger make a lighter cast. You want the centers of these candies to be a lighter color. Notice on this one here, I can do it with the heat on my fingers really well, but it doesn't do so well on squares and rectangles. So you'll need tissue paper, and you'll want to lighten it up just a little bit. You want a thick border around that chocolate so it doesn't appear as though the chocolate is flat like a quarter, but is, a big round bonbon like that. And lastly, we're going to use red. This is the magenta again. We're going to outline the blue, lay our first base color on there, smear it all on, and then we're going to take the regular red and a dark brown after that to give more depth to this heart. Now I'm lightening up the middle here so you can see that it's got its light source directly overhead. I've outlined it with brown now to give more definition. All right, the next thing is we're going to take a black oil pastel and lightly outline the shapes of the candies. Now you can kind of clean up some of your irregular shaped rectangles, squares, and circles with this black. It's also an area here that you're going to have a little bit of space in between each candy shape so that you can fill it in with the black and the brown and then create the little papers that go around an old-fashioned box of candy. So notice that I am outlining the original shape of the heart. I need some of that red to be on the outside. And now I'm going to lightly color everything black in between all of those pieces. Not too heavy because it mixes very, very easily. And then after that, we're going to take the light brown, or I'm sorry, the regular brown, not the red brown, but the darker brown, and lightly go over the black that we did in between. You do not need to re-outline the shapes of the candies. So be sure you get all of that in there. If you go over and get it on the red border of the box, we'll go do that again too in just a minute. So we're applying our brown here, and then you want to mix it in. And I just use my finger, but you might want to use the tissue paper. So kind of, get it to a point, make it a little point, and then just outline the shape of the candy and then smooth out everything in between. And just enjoy the process. Just stop talking to your friends and be concentrating on it. Make sure that you smooth it right there on the edge where it's really close to the red. And if you go over, like I say, that's okay. We'll fill it back in just a minute. Here I'm adding the red on the outside of the box again, just to give it a little thick band of color so you can see it. I probably need to do it again. And now I'm going to add the little paper that goes around each piece of candy. Now I'm doing this one with that caramel color, and then I'm going to do
All right, so
another
right
one
there
with
is where I
gray. I'm going to
added
do
the
the
gray
caramel
on top of
color
it.
and let
And
you
I
decide
think
which
I
color
like the
you
gray
like. I
better, so
think
I'm going
both
to go
look
back
fine.
over that with
So
the
this is
gray.
the light gray,
But the
and the
caramel
one before
color is
that
good to use
was
as well if
the
you don't
caramel
have
color. I
caramel
think I just
colored
like the gray,
candies in
so
your
I'm going to go
box.
with that. But you
So
could
I'm
choose the
making little
caramel.
zigzags here,
If
and
you
of
have a
course
lot of
this is
caramel
speeded up,
candies,
so
though,
you will
don't
go
use
slower
it.
than this.
So
Make
you
it
want to
tighter
make
around
those
each
zigzag
candy,
edges all the way around each
and
piece of
especially around
candy.
this
And when
curve
it's
here where
really
we've
tight
got
on the edge,
very
like
little
right
space,
there,
just make it
be
real narrow.
careful. Alrighty.
So each
Now this
candy
is
is going to
I
get
have
that
gone fast
all the
forward
way
on this.
around
I
with the
did not
gray.
do
We'll
it
come
this
back in just a little
fast
bit
in real life.
and accentuate
And you're going
that
to
with
see that a lot of
white
this is
so it will
mixing in with
stand
that
out in
really
the
dark
box.
black
This is
and
just
brown.
kind of
So we're going to come back
bringing
in a little bit and highlight
the
it with
candies
white so
closer
that
to your
those
eye
little
now. It will
crinkle
look
cut
more
edges will
interesting.
really stand out.
All right,
All right, the
now I'm
next fun
going to
thing that we want to
take the
do,
red again
okay, we're going to
and
go
beef
back
up the
around the heart because it
sides
needs to be
of
thicker. And you
the
can see, well,
box.
that will really add a lot to
Make
it.
it thick
And
because
we're
we're
going
going
to
to cut
smooth
these
it
out, and
down
you can
because
smear
we're going
that.
to cut this out.
Some of you
All of these
might
hearts will
want
be
to
cut
make
out. All the
that
messes that you
band
have on the
even
page
thicker
around
than
there
that.
will
And
disappear.
some
So
of you
let's make
might want to
sure
put like
that your box shape
moon scallop
is
ruffle or something
pretty.
like that
And
around
some
that.
people
And
like
then
to
of
do
course
little
we'll cut a
ruffles or what
band of
have you.
white
All
around
right,
it.
now on the dark chocolate,
This is
I
that
take
caramel
that
color
caramel
again, and
and I
on my
kind of draw
rectangles on the dark
a
chocolate and some of the light
rectangle
ones,
around
I'm
the
just
lighter
going to
part of the
draw a
box or on the
rectangle
circle. I
around the
just
light
kind of
area of
rim
my
that
chocolate,
early area
and I'll
that's
smear
supposed to
that
be the
in just
lighter
a
bit
little. It gives
to
another
cast a
pop of
different
light.
light.
Now onto the
And
white.
then
Here
I
comes
can
our
take a
swirled
white
icing and our
and put the
drizzled
swirls
icing.
on the candy.
Sometimes you
You
can
can see
double
there we've
layer
got
it
the
there.
drizzle.
I'm going to
Right
do
here
it
I'm
on
going to
top of
do
this
white,
dark
and then I'm
one,
going
and then
to
I'm going to
do
come
it
back
again
with the
with
black
black,
and do it right on top
trying
of
to
there
stay
as
on the
well.
same
And
lines.
you could do
Just
a
add
very
some
dark
fun there.
chocolate color on there if you want to,
All
but
right,
it won't
he needs
show
a little
very
bit
well,
more of
so
a
just do
border,
black.
and so does the
Alrighty,
heart. We'll come
I'm
back to
going to
that.
take
Now I'm
white
just going to
now, and on
outline
these
the
milk
lighter
chocolates,
ones
I'm
with
going
the
to
white. And I can go
put
back
their
and
box
smear that
with the
in,
white
and then
and
layer
smear it in
another
to add some more light. There's
chunk of
another
white
layer.
on there,
And
and
now
then
I'm going
give
to
it
take
that
my
hard
oil
little
pastel
pop
and
of
pop
light.
on that
Alrighty, and
bright
you'll see
pop
that
of
on the
light.
rectangles and the squares,
On
I'll do it in
rectangles
two
and
opposing
squares, it's good
corners.
if you do them in two opposite corners. You don't have to join them together necessarily. All right, back to the heart. So I'm adding some red on top of that magenta.
I didn't do that at all.
And I'm also coming back around the side with the very darkest of the browns, and I'm going to blend that in. My heart doesn't have the color scheme that I want it, so I'm going to edge it. The heart also will have to have that pop of light in the middle like all the others. So let's see how we do that. The pink there is looking good. I'm going to take the white and outline that pinky area. Make it even brighter. Give it a pop of light. And maybe smear it in because maybe I messed it up. I don't know. Let's see. Add some more layering. And here comes the white again. I'm going to clean it off because there's a lot of wax on here. All right, and a bright pop of light. They all get a bright pop of light. And you'll see that it just makes everything come alive in our box of chocolates. But don't add too much on the candy. One or two little pieces or spots of bright light on each piece of candy. And now you can see I'm going around some of those ruffles and just giving each one a couple of extra ruffles. And then I'm going to take my skinny Sharpie and sign my name along the bottom like that. And then I'm going to cut it out. And the band of white that's going to be around it is going to be as thick as where you signed your name. Please sign your name very small. This is a bad angle, but I think you understand what I'm asking you to do. We're going to trim around that, and then we're going to cut it out, and then we will mount it to a different colored piece of paper.